Big tech under legal scrutiny again, this time 10 states filing a new antitrust lawsuit against Google. Joining me now is one of the attorney generals that is a part of this, Curtis Hill. He's the attorney general for the state of Indiana. General, welcome to Washington Watch.
Tony, thank you for having me on.
Well, a lot of people interested in this because a lot of eyes on big tech these days with what they've been doing with great intensity just in recent days. But this is something, when you look at these antitrust suits, this is something that's been going on for some time and been under the watchful eye of many attorney generals like yourself. Explain to our listeners what this is all about.
Well, we've been conducting this particular investigation for well over a year, and let's be straight. We are not anti-business. In fact, the AGs that are on this particular lawsuit are very pro-business, and we want to promote business and good practices. This is about particular misconduct. This is about using bad practices to stifle competition and inappropriately hoard the market. And we've seen examples of this being done by these big companies. And the danger is once they control the market, then there's all sorts of mischief that can be applied. And we're seeing lots of those things in terms of managing and controlling content and really breaking away from free speech interests that the Internet is designed to promote.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, General, because, I was thinking about that as I was reading some of the articles here. The Republicans, for the most part, are seen as pro-business, and they are free business, free markets.
Mm-hmm.
We want to see people prosper. We want to see people have opportunities. But there comes a time where there appears to be some underhanded activity here to try to keep other people from having opportunity to succeed, and that is apparently what you're looking at, if I'm not mistaken.
That's exactly what's happening. There's lots of tech companies in this space that are absolutely prohibited from entering because they're not playing by Google's rules. So Google has the control of the display advertising. Basically, they control the seller's market, the buyer's market, and the auction house in which these exchanges take place. So they have the absolute control over that mechanism. And when you have that kind of control, you can dictate who gets to enter the market and who doesn't. And through that process, they've even made arrangements with Facebook, another giant in this space that is being scrutinized, to allow Facebook to have certain access that other companies don't. So it's really becoming problematic for the small tech innovators, and that's what we're really trying to protect, that innovation in technology that comes from competition. And if we don't have that competition, we don't have the innovation, and we start to get very lazy in our technical advances.
General Hill, when you look at this from a standpoint of, obviously, we want people to have opportunities, but when you start to have monopolies and antitrust situations such as this, what's the bottom line for the consumer? How is the consumer affected by this?
The consumer is going to pay more money because once you have a large group like Google that's able to control the market in such a fashion, there's going to be less choices for the consumer. There's going to be higher prices paid by the consumer. There's going to be content shifting for the consumer. So the consumer is not even going to have access to all of the information that is available out there. The Internet was supposed to be an opportunity for everybody to participate, everybody to get access to information. And Tony, as you think back a few years ago, you could Google something, as they say, and you would get all sorts of information at your fingertips. You do that today, and much, if not all of that information has already been filtered by Google, and you're only getting what they'll let you get. And that's not what the consumer bargained for.
And this type of action by states against a massive company like this is not new. I mean, we've seen this. This is action that's been taken before, has it not?
Well, this is an offshoot. We actually have another action with several AGs and the DOJ that's addressing Google's monopolistic practices on the search side of things. This action is about the display ads, and there's a subtle difference, but it's a similar situation. They're controlling aspects of the access to advertising, and in doing so, ultimately impact the end user consumer.
But historically, we've seen antitrust actions taking place. I mean, consider Ma Bell, the phone company, and what has come forth from that. You remember when you could only make long-distance calls on Sundays?
Absolutely.
Because there just wasn't the competition. But when the government stepped in and said, hey, wait, this is a monopoly. You got to divest yourself of some of this. Look what happened with the competition and how readily available phones are now.
And we have to be careful in the antitrust space because we do want to promote and incentivize businesses, all businesses. And so there are line drawings that we have to be careful with. We don't want to punish solid building of a monopoly. I mean, the fact that a company using proper practices grows into a monopoly in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's when they grow into a monopoly using artificial means and anti-competitive factors that are beyond the pale. And so we always have to make sure that we recognize that a business that's doing well, that's growing well, that's successful on its own merits, we want to applaud that. And that particular aspect should be driving competition as well. So we want to strike that balance, making sure that we go after companies that are displaying inappropriate practices versus companies that are building their market share in a legitimate manner.
So it's when you start throwing a few elbows under the hoop that you get a foul.
That's it.
All right. General Curtis Hill, thanks so much for joining us today. As always, great to talk with you.